I'm Tavis, Smiley. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Our phone number 1-800-920-1580. 1-800-920-1580. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on the Tavis Smiley Show today on Thanksgiving Eve. In this hour, two conversations. On the backside of this conversation, the B-side, wouldn't be Thanksgiving tomorrow without a conversation with an award-winning chef. And so on the backside of this hour, we'll be joined by chef and TV host Jannard Wells to discuss his newest book, Southern Inspired, More Than 100 Delicious Dishes from My American Table to Yours. But we start this hour in conversation with our dear friend and brother, who I'm always delighted to have on this program, honored when he accepts our invitation. And we are prepared for a conversation right now with the House Majority Whip, James Clyburn. Come January, Democratic leadership will pass the gavel, as you well know, to Republicans who will now govern the House. Lord help us. Even though Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, and Whip Clyburn all easily won re-election to their House seats, they've all announced that they will step down from their leadership positions, paving the way for a new generation of Democratic leaders. I am honored to have once again on this program my friend and brother James Clyburn. Congressman, how are you, sir?
I'm just fine, and thank you very much for having me.
It's good to have you.
Pleasant day here in South Carolina.
Oh, I'm sure it's a beautiful day in South Carolina. It's good to have you on, and I thank you for taking the time to call from South Carolina, where you could be on break and probably should be on break, but I thank you for just giving us a few minutes, Congressman. Appreciate your time. Let me start with this. You and I go way back, and I'm wondering if you can give me just a little inside scoop. How was this decision made? You, Steny Hoyer, and Speaker Pelosi all decided to step down. Was that decision made in unison? Was it made individually and just happened that all three of you decided to do the same thing? How was this decision made?
It was not made in unison, though all of us have been around this process long enough to know when the time is to go. Mm-hmm. And I think we all felt that the time was right to go. I never discussed it with Nancy Pelosi. Back before the election, on one or two occasions, the subject came up. You may recall 4 years ago, there was an effort made to jettison the leadership. And Nancy at that time announced that she would leave at a certain period of time, which was this year. Mm-hmm. And she decided to keep that, even though our fortunes had been reversed considerably. 4 years ago, we won back the House. And this time, we defied all expectations. Nobody expected the Democrats to really sustain and even to just continue to defy, I guess is the best word, conventional wisdom. Mm-hmm. They were predicting we will get blown out anywhere from 40 to 60 seats. Mm-hmm. It's more like 6. And that's because we were able to come together as a party, run a campaign focused on people, but for 2 states, 2 reliably blue states, I think we would have maintained the majority.
Mm-hmm. Well, how do you read? Everybody has their own take on this, but I'm curious as to your take, Whip Clyburn. How do you read the fact that there wasn't this red wave that they were expecting, that Democrats did not take the shellacking that many people thought they were going to take, as you laid out just a moment ago? How do you read that?
Well, you know, when we won the presidency back in 2020, and we had this insurrection, January 6, 2021, I knew that the country was coming to grips with an issue that had plagued the country for a long, long time, and that is a threat to our democracy. Now, way back when we were trying, we had 20-some-odd people running for president. Some people, everybody had their choices. But at that time, you may recall, I said that I thought that our best choice for winning would be Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I felt that is because when you have all this acrimony, people look for peace in their lives. They look for calmness. And I knew that Joe Biden could provide that. I knew that he would be a contrast to what we had. And we needed somebody who understood the system had enough respect in the Congress to get a big agenda passed. And that's what happened. We passed the Rescue Act, the Infrastructure Bill, the Science and Chips Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, the PAC Act, the Safer Community Act. We had the biggest production that Congress has had and a president since 1965. And so people saw how that was changing their lives. And then they also saw this insurrection and decided they needed somebody to combat that. And Joe Biden's approach, his agenda, were exactly what the doctor ordered for this particular juncture. How do I know that? Passing through airports. In fact, it was in the Los Angeles airport that I got stopped more often than any place else, with people stopping me saying, stick to the agenda. You got more friends out here than you would believe. And we demonstrated that on Election Day.
Nice shout out to Los Angeles, where this radio station is flagship, and LAX for that matter, which is crowded like crazy today. Yeah, you'd get stopped a whole lot today, Congressman Clyburn, because that thing is packed out there today. People trying to travel to parts unknown. So I'm glad you're not at LAX today.
I am too.
Let me ask you this. You're right about the fact that you guys didn't lose, Democrats didn't lose by 40, 50, 60 seats as some has predicted, but a loss is a loss. It's only more like 6, as you said, but that still means you all have to turn over the gavel. And again, you and Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer have announced you're stepping aside from your Democratic leadership. Let me just ask you in a forthright and direct way, how concerned are you, how scared are you about what is to come now that they will have the gavel?
I'm very concerned. I am not frightened. If we had lost by 40 or 50 or 60 seats, I would be frightened, because that would be an indication that the intervention that is always necessary to keep our country from going over the edge, it takes place with the voters. And if voters show up, we can stop that. And that's what happened on November 8th. Voters showed up, and as you would say, they showed out. And we got the result that was necessary to bring this country back from the edge. Now, as I said, the redistricting, court-ordered redistricting in New York caused us to lose 4 or 5 seats that we did not bank on losing. Our own chair of DCCC lost his reelection. There are 3 or 4 seats down there in Southern California that we had banked on winning, and we lost. But by the same token, we won some seats that we did not expect to win. We went from 5 seats to 7 seats in North Carolina. We won seats in Pennsylvania. And we thought that we would not win those seats, but we did. So you see a shift taking place. That's why this transition that we are making, it is so important for it to be orderly and transparent. And that's what we're doing. Hakeem Jeffries is a great choice. He has experience, and he has managed our caucus for the last 4 years. Our members know him. He knows them, and I think it's going to be great. Kathleen Clark will be our minority whip, and Pete Aguilar from California will be third in line. So we have a good team, and I'm going to do what I can to make sure this team succeeds.
When we come forward in our conversation with Congressman Jim Clyburn, the House Majority Whip, the outgoing House Majority Whip, a few other things I want to cover with him between now and the bottom of this hour. He's graciously given us 30 minutes, and so we'll take him to the bottom of the hour. But there's a lot to talk about. You just heard him mention a moment ago the name Hakeem Jeffries. That's historic, a black man who will have this position leading Democrats in the House. We'll talk about Hakeem Jeffries and his view of him and what this means historically. Speaking of history, I want to get Jim Clyburn, if I can, to look back on his role. I mean, he's made history himself, given his time and service in the House, and I want to just kind of get him to unpack what he thinks that he's been able to accomplish as a black man from South Carolina in the House. And, of course, there's a great deal more to talk about regarding the politics that are to come. Many of us are afraid. He's not afraid. But I'm concerned about all these investigations and efforts to impeach the president. It's going to get ugly here. He's not afraid, but I don't think he would deny it's about to get ugly. And I want to get his take on that and a great deal more when we come forward in conversation with the House Majority Whip, that is, James Clyburn out of South Carolina. You're listening to him right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
Be sure to like and follow Tavis Smiley at The Real Tavis Smiley and get Twitter updates at Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues when we come forward.
This year marks 10 years strong of Covered California providing quality, affordable health insurance. Celebrate with us at the Community Wellness Fair on Tuesday, November 29th from 1 to 5 p.m. at Center of Hope Church, located at 9550 Crenshaw Boulevard in Inglewood. Enjoy an afternoon of free health screenings, various community resources, giveaways, and free lunch while supplies last. Enrollers will be on site to answer questions and help with the enrollment process. Covered California is looking forward to celebrating 10 years strong with the community next Tuesday, November 29th. See you there.
Nacho fries are back at Taco Bell. You know, the fries covered in bold Mexican spices you dip in a warm nacho cheese sauce. You could also dunk them in nacho cheese sauce or pour the sauce onto a pile of them and create like a nacho fries nachos. The thing is that you eat them with nacho cheese sauce. That's what makes them nacho fries. Otherwise, you're just eating fries and sipping on nacho cheese sauce, and that's the wrong way. Sorry, just really passionate about nacho fries.
Nacho fries are back, only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only while supplies last. Contact local store for hours and participation which vary.
This Black Friday, we're checking everyone off your list with unbeatable deals at Ulta Beauty all week long. Starting November 20th, shop hundreds of exciting deals in store and online. And beginning Tuesday, get $12 mascaras from brands like Benefit and $10 lippies from brands like Fenty. And so much more. Because our kind of holiday is you having your kind of holiday. So what are you waiting for? Hurry to an Ulta Beauty near you or buy online and pick up in store. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
This Sunday and every Sunday is the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Get free groceries, essential resources, and buy black from local merchants of arts, beauty, custom black merchandise, and more. Choose from a wide variety of cuisines, custom-made clothing, jewelry, and a lot more. Experience the true essence of Africatown at Leimert Park every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Join the Drum Circle, dance, enjoy live performances, connect with other conscious black people. Experience black excellence every Sunday in Africatown at Leimert Park. You can find us on Degnan Boulevard near Vernon and Crenshaw in the heart of Africatown at Leimert Park. That's the African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market. Join us for music, shopping, food, and fun this and every Sunday. Support black businesses, recycle black dollars, and feed your soul. The African Marketplace and Drum Circle Community Market every Sunday in Africatown at Leimert Park. Brought to you by Africatown Enterprise and the African Village Vendors Association.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
Another 12 minutes here in conversation with our friend and brother, Congressman Jim Clyburn, of course, the Majority Whip, long-standing, out of the great state of South Carolina. Let me ask you, Congressman, first of all, had the Democrats been able to hold on to the House, were you still determined to step aside? Had you won, would you still be holding on to this position?
I would have stepped aside, absolutely. Okay. I would be doing it a little bit differently than the way I am doing it, because if you're in the majority, you can set the agenda and you can really respond to your constituents almost immediately. When you're in the minority, it's a different set of circumstances, and therefore you have to really respond to things. You have to keep your constituents moored to you and get them in a frame of mind to understand that you're not setting the agenda, and a lot of what they want to see pass the House will not get passed in the House, but would have to get dealt with in the Senate. Mm-hmm. So I would have stepped aside. I think Nancy would have also, as well as Senate. Mm-hmm. We would have done it a little bit differently than the way we were forced to do it, having lost the House.
Speaking of setting the agenda, you said earlier you're not afraid, you're not scared, you are concerned. But what do you expect that's about to happen now that they get to set the agenda? I mean, everywhere you look and read, we're being told there are going to be all kinds of investigations. They're going to be moved to impeach President Biden, the guy who you mentioned earlier that you thought was the best person to lead the country. They're going to come after him. So talk to me about them setting the agenda and what concerns you.
Well, what concerns me is the acrimony that will be taking place. I do believe that the American people will reject that approach. I think that that's what they demonstrated before. Go back and look at history. And I, as you know, I'm a big history guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I think history there to inform us. And I would remind people, and I hope that Kevin McCarthy will be reminded, that there was a guy named Newt Gingrich who came in back in 1994 with the same kind of foolishness. And next thing you knew, he was being driven out of town by his own people. And that's going to happen here if they do not undertake what is necessary to do what the American people want done for them, for their lives, for their families, for their communities, and go out here talking about impeaching the president. That's not going to put a loaf of bread on anybody's table. That's not going to do a single thing. And then for what? They are now talking about impeaching the Secretary of Homeland Security. For what? Because they say he has failed at the border. Who has not failed at the border? Where is that wall that Trump said he was going to build along the border? He never built it. Everybody has had some degree of failure at the border. But is it impeachable? An impeachment is an indictment. You get indicted for having done something wrong, not for having a policy that may or may not have failed. So what has the Secretary of Homeland Security done that's impeachable? What has Joe Biden done that is impeachable? What did Donald Trump do that's impeachable? Just pick up the newspapers. Look at the evening news, and you'll know that he is full of criminality and is coming home to the American people as we speak.
Since you went there, I'm going to follow you, Congressman Clyburn. What do you make of the fact that Donald Trump obviously has announced that he's running for the White House again?
That announcement was just an attempt to stave off an indictment. That's what that was. And I'm so glad that the Supreme Court finally decided not to be partial, but to follow the law. It is now saying he's got to turn over 6 years of his tax records. And I think the American people are going to find out more about Donald Trump than they care to know when these tax records get into the hands of the House Ways and Means Committee. Now, I know everybody's saying, well, you're going to be out of office in a few months. Well, if you look at the law, the Senate Finance Committee, Ron Wyden has an interest in us. He can get these tax records as well. And so I think that the American people are going to see exactly what it is that makes Donald Trump the danger to our democracy that he is.
Do you think between now and the race in 2024, the election that is, he's going to get tripped up by a number of indictments?
Oh, yeah. There's no question in my mind. And the biggest indictment for any public servant to get is public opinion. And I think that the January 6th committee, thanks to Benny Thompson's stewardship of that committee, they have revealed a lot of things to the American people. And I think that they responded to the January 6th committee when to be voted on November the 8th. That committee revealed a lot of things that people did not know. And I think there's much more to be found out. And I think you will get more from that committee when it issues its final report. And I think you also going to get much, much more when they look at his taxes. And then there's some other things going down there in Georgia that I think is coming forth by an African-American woman down there who is not playing any games. She's going to get to the bottom of why what they were doing when they tried to steal the elections down there in Georgia.
Of course, you're talking about Fannie Willis, the Fulton County DA in Atlanta, Georgia, who's pursuing this case rather doggedly, and so I take your point. Got about 5 minutes left watching my time with you, Congressman. In 2007, as you well know, your friend Nancy Pelosi, who you discussed earlier, made history when she became the first woman to be the Speaker of the House and to lead her party. Hakeem Jeffries appears poised to be, as you mentioned earlier, the brother out of New York will apparently take over the party and be the minority leader, at least for the time being. Say a word to me about Hakeem Jeffries and how historic this moment is that you have the gavel of leadership on the Democratic side being passed from the first woman to the first African American, the first person of color to lead his party in either chamber of Congress.
It is very historic and I think very relevant to where we are today. Hakeem Jeffries is very astute. Is a very astute politician. He's very smart. He's very highly intelligent. He has experience at the state and local levels, and he's chaired our full Democratic caucus for the last 4 years. Our caucus members know him. He knows them, and I do believe that he is going to be a very effective and I hope a successful Speaker of the House. He may be the minority leader for the next 2 years, but I expect for him to be the first African-American Speaker of the House come 2025.
You mentioned earlier that you are a student of history, and I know that about you well, and your other friends and followers know that about you as well. You are a major student of history. So let me close with a couple of questions in these last few minutes about history. Let me start with this. Let me just ask both of them, and I'll get out of your way and give you the last few minutes. The first question I want to ask is what you make of the journey that you've been blessed to be on all these years and all the history that you have made yourself as a black man out of South Carolina, of all places, becoming a leader in the House of Representatives now that you're stepping aside from your leadership position, and clearly you ain't going nowhere. But tell me a bit about what you make of your journey from South Carolina to leadership in the House and how finally you intend to navigate and proceed as an elder statesman in the House, Congressman.
Well, thank you very much for that. You know, growing up here in South Carolina, I've grown up with the legacy of Robert Smalls all of my life. And I'm so proud to be representing counties and communities in South Carolina that were once represented in the United States Congress by Robert Smalls, who was a former slave. Robert Smalls, I call the most consequential South Carolinian to ever live. I know people will talk about some others all the way down through Strom Thurmond, but nobody was as consequential to history as Robert Smalls, and I have been patterning my whole service after him all of these years. He was a guy that introduced a resolution that provided for the first free public schools in this country, right here in South Carolina. So I live by that. I stand on his shoulders, and many since him. George Washington Murray was the 8th African-American to represent South Carolina in the United States Congress, and the only problem is there are 95 years between number 8 and yours truly, number 9. And I have tried to serve in such a way that that will not ever be again, that there will never be another hiatus of 95 years for an African-American to represent South Carolina in the Congress. I'm very proud of my accomplishments, and I hope that before I leave the scene in the not-too-distant future, I will prove myself worthy of the confidence of the South Carolinians that have sent me to Washington for now 30 years.
And that is how you serve as an elder statesman, not just a garden variety politician. There is no President Joe Biden, as we all know, if there is no Congressman Jim Clyburn out of South Carolina. It just wouldn't have happened without James Clyburn, and history will record that, has already recorded that. There is no debate about that. there just is no President Joe Biden, there is no Congressman James Clyburn out of South Carolina. Congressman, thanks for serving in that whip position as honorably as you did for all these years. I know that they'll be blessed to still have your counsel around for the foreseeable future, at least, to help them as these new Democrats provide leadership in the House. But thank you for your service, and most importantly, thank you for your time on this program today. I appreciate you, sir.
Thank you very much for having me, buddy.
Take care, my friend. That's a conversation with James Clyburn, and we still got a half hour to go. So as I said earlier, it's not Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving Eve, as it were, specifically if you don't have a conversation with an award-winning chef. And so we'll be joined by our great chef when we come forward after News, Traffic, and Sports. His name is Jernard Wells, and he has a new book out called Southern Inspired. Speaking of the South, just talking to Jim Clyburn in South Carolina. His book is called Southern Inspired, More Than 100 Delicious Dishes from My American Table to Yours. Jernard Wells, Chef Jernard Wells, when we come forward in our final hour, our final half hour on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Flags in Virginia are flying half-staff after a shooting left 6 dead at a Walmart. Governor Glenn Youngkin says flags will stay there until sunset on Sunday. Police in Chesapeake say there's no clear motive in the shooting. 3 now former deputies in South Georgia are facing charges in a jail attack. The GBI revealed yesterday the 3 men were arrested for battery and oath of office violation more than 10 weeks after they reportedly beat a black detainee. It's a busy day at airports across the country as Thanksgiving travelers attempt to get out of town. Some of the biggest airports in the country are all experiencing heavy traffic today. On this day in Black history in 1980, hundreds of people across the nation met in Philadelphia to form the National Black Independent Party. And that's the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
We have a disabled vehicle on the northbound side of the 405 in the Sepulveda Pass at Mulholland Drive Skirball. That's been blocking the carpool lane. In Norwalk, a wreck now on the 5 northbound of Rosecrans Avenue. That has the right lane blocked. Some slowing there from Valley View. And still pretty heavy on the 110 northbound drive, leaving Century Boulevard to the 10.
At In-N-Out, our hamburgers are made with the highest quality ingredients, made fresh and by hand, made with a smile, and made to order just for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers wasted another outstanding performance by Anthony Davis. They lose by 10 last night in Phoenix. Davis had 37 points and 21 rebounds. It's the 4th straight game AD has had at least 30 points and 15 rebounds. The NBA is going to take some money out of Patrick Beverley's bank account. Beverley was ejected late in the 4th quarter for knocking Phoenix center DeAndre Ayton to the floor after play had stopped. Beverley was given a flagrant 1 foul, which comes with an automatic fine. Don't be surprised if Beverley also gets a suspension. The Clippers won't have Kawhi Leonard or Paul George for tonight's game at Golden State. Leonard has a sprained right ankle. PG is still nursing a sore hamstring. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're a slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call on me, your MVP.
Congratulations to this week's KBLA Talk 1580's Office of the Week, Community Legal Aid SoCal. Advocates for justice in Orange and Los Angeles counties. Congratulations, Community Legal Aid SoCal.
The Institute for Diversity Certification is all about the 3 Ds: dedication, determination, and discipline. Learn more about our globally recognized diversity certification program today by calling 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192, or visit diversitycertification.org. As the #1 organization for certified diversity professionals professionals and also certified diversity executive credentials, diversitycertification.org will provide an opportunity for you to demonstrate dedication to the field, determination to make progress, and more discipline to your process. Go today and learn more about the diversity certification system. Call 1-800-983-6192. Again, 1-800-983-6192. Or go to diversitycertification.org. That's diversitycertification.org, the standard of excellence, equity, diversity, and inclusion.
KBLA Talk 1580.
The thrill of victory. The thrill of victory. Thrill of victory. Yeah, man.
KBLA Talk 1580 wishes to congratulate Mayor-elect Karen Bass on her historic win as the first woman and only second African-American to serve as chief executive of the city of Los Angeles.
Congratulations, Mayor-elect Bass, and welcome back to Unapologetically Progressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and this is my very first interview, and I am proud that it's here.
We are proud to have you here. What do you want to say to the listeners of KBLA Talk 1580?
I want to say thank you from just, I'm just full of the love that I felt every place I went in the community, and I just want the listeners to know that I promise you I won't disappoint you. I will be accessible. I will never forget where I'm from, and understand that is my primary motivation.
Congratulations, Mayor-elect Karen Bass, holding all leaders accountable to you.
No matter who you voted for, no matter who you are or where you live, I will be a mayor for you.
We're KBLA Talk 1580. Talk 1580. Talk 1580. And we don't black down. We've got a lot to talk about. Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
We are indeed. I'm Tavis Smiley. Glad to have you with us in the third and final hour of our program today. The last of my voice you will hear before Thanksgiving. Well, tomorrow. I said tomorrow and Friday, the best of Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580. So I'll be here tomorrow, but on tape, as will all of my colleagues. So you're going to experience for the next couple of days the best of this entire station over Thanksgiving and over the day after, Friday. So if there are programs, I'm sure there are programs you might have missed in the days and weeks prior, you can check in Thursday and Friday and get the best of this program and all the other programs hosted by my fine colleagues here on KBLA Talk 1580 as you celebrate the Thanksgiving holiday. And it wouldn't be Thanksgiving without a conversation with an award-winning chef. And so now a conversation with chef and TV host Jannard Wells and a conversation about his new book, Southern Inspired, More Than 100 Delicious Dishes from My American Table to Yours. Chef Wells, good to have you on this program. How are you, sir?
I am doing good. It's a pleasure to be joining you, Tavis.
It's an honor to have you.
This is the time of the year.
It is that time of year, man. It's an honor to have you on, so thanks for your time. Let me start with this. I'm curious as to how can I put this? How did food become your muse? How did food become your vocation, your calling, Chef?
As I always tell people, I didn't land on Food Rock. Food Rock landed on me. It's been instilled in me since I was a child. My father was a chef by trade, and he brought me in the kitchen to start cooking with him at the age of 10. And it just blossomed, just seeing the experience of joy in people's face when they're eating something good and how it brought the community together. And it just meant so much to me, and I wanted to continue to keep extending and giving that joy through the plate.
Yeah. What does that mean to the best of your ability? Because I've heard this phrase, we've all heard this phrase a number of times, that the food was made with love, that it was made with joy. What does that mean for you, if you can describe that?
Yeah, we truly do cook the way we feel, and our emotions are tied into food. Mm-hmm. But there's a certain sentiment, as they call the career professional name is culinary art, and it is an art form because what we're doing is we're painting a picture with our plate, but ultimately sharing what comes through our hands, how we convey, how we see food, so that others can experience who we are. That's one of the things I even talk about it in my newest cookbook, Southern Inspired, is getting people out of the box of veering away from from just sticking to a recipe to the T.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something that you love or don't love, don't be afraid to remove that ingredient or add more or replace it with something else. And what happens is that dish becomes part of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people experience a recipe or something that you've made, Tavis, they always remember you, and that's where the love comes in. You remember that person that made that good lasagna for you or that hooked up the last barbecue. You remember it, and that's how it ties into who we are and how we feel.
No, I appreciate that sentiment, but we're not gonna do that to the people. We're not gonna make them eat Tavis's food. That Chef Wells, we are not going to do. I ain't got a problem with them. I ain't got a problem with curating great conversations for the audience. But I ain't the one to curate a great meal. But I'm working on it.
Do you?
No, well, I wouldn't win the worst chef, whatever that TV show is, the worst chef or whatever it is.
Worst cooks of America.
Yeah. I wouldn't win. I don't think I'd win the show. But I'd be in the running for it.
It's as simple as one key thing that you can do
right.
to always ensure or to just about ensure creating a good meal is your mise en place. And what that is, that's French for get everything in order. Once you know and decide what you're going to cook, go ahead and take all the ingredients out up front.
Right.
Even portion them out if need be, and that helps for a more flawless meal experience when cooking.
Now you tell me. You know, what's funny about this is I grew up, people ask me all the time, can you cook? So here's the short answer. I grew up in a family with 9 brothers and sisters, my mother and my father, and my maternal grandmother, Big Mama. So there were 13 of us. We were poor, obviously, but there were 13 of us at one point living in a trailer. 13 people in a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom trailer in a trailer park. We always tell jokes about white trailer trash. We were a bunch of Negroes. 13 of us in a white trailer park in a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom trailer. That's how I grew up. And because my mother, who's an amazing cook from Mississippi, she should do her own cookbook. She's just that good. But because my mother was in charge of the food, obviously, and she had to stretch this, she did all the cooking. She did the cooking, and for that matter, she would set our plates because she knew what our appetites were. Exactly. She knew her 10 children. She didn't even know the phrase portion size back then, but she knew what she had in those pots, and she knew she had to stretch it, and she knew how to fix those plates for her 10 babies. Now, I say all that to say that because she was in charge of the food, I never got a chance to experience, like you were brought in by your father at 10 years of age. That didn't happen for me, or it didn't happen for any of my siblings initially. So that my mother, because she was in charge of things, never taught me how to cook. Now, I can clean house, I can wash some clothes, I can mop some floors, I can do all of that. But I didn't learn how to cook as a young person. So it really wasn't until, believe it or not, I'm in my 50s now, it wasn't until the pandemic when I couldn't get nothing to eat that I had to learn how to cook. So now I can make a few dishes, but I suspect, Chef Wells, I ain't the only person that learned how to cook a little something during the pandemic.
You're right, because during that time frame, it really forced people to get out of the shell of just your traditional delivery service, going out to your restaurants. It really forced you to get into the rhythm of it. And a lot of people found out that it's not so bad. See, we was always dealt that hand of thinking that, when I go in the kitchen, it's going to be long, drawn-out periods. But as I always tell people, the kitchen is a zen moment. When you set it up, you can put your favorite music on, pour whatever it is that you like to sip or drink on while you're going, and if you got a friend or a companion to join you in, it's fun. It's an experience. Even with doing it by myself, I feel it as a form of meditation. And don't be afraid to create. You'll be amazed that cooking is almost like a chemist where you can mix several different ingredients and you get an experience every time. And it's as simple as fire or heat to food, meaning if you're making a ribeye, you're just searing it. As long as you stand there and watch it, it doesn't burn. Even if you put something in the oven, set the timers right. Follow it. I can't begin to stress during the pandemic how many lives how many lives that were changed just from someone going in the kitchen and cooking something. How much money was actually saved?
No, I did save money. Now I saved a whole lot of money during the pandemic by bringing that food inside the house. Let me just say this, and I want to get straight away into your book here in just a second. Southern Inspired, more than 100 delicious dishes. Say that fast 10 times. Delicious dishes from my American table to yours. One of the things, and I've been at this for, as you know, in my career, I've been at this for a long time now, and I've been able to talk to a lot of great chefs over the years. Some of whom I count as friends these days because of our interactions in these media spaces. But it never ceases to amaze me. Never ceases to amaze me. The various, the limitless ways in which Southern cuisine, our cuisine, continues to be, how might I put this, continues to morph and to change and to inspire and to be embraced by communities in this country and around the globe. What do you make specifically of the nature of Southern cuisine and why it's always the subject of some conversation, some documentary, some book, some new chef's offering?
Tavis, you've literally just explained one half of my book in its entirety.
Mm-hmm.
My book is a love letter to my family, who I grew up cooking with, as well as to my culinary ancestors. But one of the things in the title, why I named it Southern Inspired, My American Table, was because I wanted to shine a light on how Southern food and our style of food, AE soul food, as some may call it, is the true cuisine of America.
Mm-hmm.
Our food really should be titled as American cuisine because it's the foundation of every dish that you eat around the United States. I don't care whether you go to L.A., whether you go to New York, or wherever it is, you still see the foundation and the premises of our Southern food and the style that we cook. Even though you trick it out with different ingredients, it still holds the same foundation, because if we go back even to slavery, it was us cooking in the big house and in the field house. So everyone was experiencing our cuisine. Our ancestors came over from Africa, and they knew those recipes. So they took the herbs and spices that was grown in Western civilization as we know it, and they started outside of the okra, one true indigenous ingredients that originated in Africa that's here. But they took what they knew recipes and started creating meals that we experience and that we know and that what we love today. So it is our cuisine that's at the forefront of it. We're at the top of the food chain, regardless of what people say.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it, and I receive it. And as we said in the Black Church, all we can say to that is amen. Our conversation continues in a moment when we come forward with award-winning TV host of New Soul Kitchen on Clio TV, best-selling author. His new one's called More Southern Inspired, More Than 100 Delicious Dishes from My American Table to Yours. His name is Chef Jannard Wells. More with him when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Good thing we've got 3 hours.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
The NAACP calls on Twitter advertisers to take action after Trump's reinstatement. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News. Derek Johnson, president and CEO of the NAACP, calls on advertisers to take action after the social media platform's users voted for Trump's account to be reinstated in a poll posted by Twitter owner Elon Musk. 51.8% of its over 15 million votes sided for Trump's reinstatement on the platform, and so it was. So Mr. Johnson tweeted, quote, "Any advertiser still funding Twitter should immediately pause all advertising now," end quote. Johnson's call comes at a time when even CBS News, Balenciaga, and Playbill have re-evaluated their usage of Twitter. Internally, Twitter has seen mass resignations along with abrupt firings in recent days. What are your thoughts on Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Twitter, and free speech? Let us know by chatting with us on Instagram or Facebook at KBLA 1580.
Over 100 million people around the world have felt the thrill of Broadway's most spectacular musical, Disney's The Lion King. And now you can too. Experience this breathtaking theatrical event and see why the New York Times declares there is simply nothing else like it.
Give the gift that roars at the Pantages Theater, February 2nd through March 26th. Visit BroadwayInHollywood.com.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call on me, your MVP.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us in celebrating the season of giving by being part of the solution. As we enjoy great food, family, warmth, and well wishes in whatever our festive tradition may be, we share the beauty of the season by reaching out to the less fortunate. Please help us to help others with the KBLA Cover the Houseless Cozy Community Coat and Blanket Drive. All you have to do is drop off new or clean, gently used winter coats and blankets in the KBLA lobby during business hours. Now through December 20th, all of the coats and blankets will be donated to unsheltered individuals and families experiencing houselessness. Simply bring your donation to 4434 Crenshaw Boulevard in Los Angeles, near Vernon Avenue, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays. That's 4434 Crenshaw in historic Leimert Park. During the holidays and every day, let's remember, we keep us safe. We keep us warm. We are the safety net. And together, we can cover the unsheltered. Get caught up in the spirit of the season, the spirit of love. Make a difference with your friends at KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's unpack a little bit more with Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues right now.
All right, Chef Jannard Wells, let's go right inside the book, Southern Inspired, more than 100 delicious dishes from my American table to yours. You know, the one thing that always cracks me up about cookbooks, particularly from great chefs like yourself, Chef Wells, is that you got this, you work hard to design and to craft and create, to birth these recipes, and then you give it all away. I'm not sure I'd be doing that, man, but I ain't mad at you, and I'm appreciative. But you're giving your best stuff away, man.
When you're blessed with the gift to create a recipe, it's limitless. You know, a recipe, we can take one recipe and it can morph into 4 or 5 different things. But that's the whole point of culinary art, is that art form. We want to share it with the world. How well do you know how great I cook, other than the fact of tasting my food or creating one of my recipes? And that's how we share. That's how we share our love, our gift, our talent, and ultimately our quality with the world.
All right, so take me inside the book. Now that you decided to give all your stuff away, I ain't mad at you. But take me inside Southern Inspired and tell the audience what they're going to discover when they get inside the pages of this book.
Well, one of the cool things, you know, off top, you're going to get 100 recipes, and these are some of my all-time favorite recipes that I grew up loving from places that I've traveled. There's things that I wanted to bring forth, and it's everything from, of course, we're in a holiday season. I have a complete holiday chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I have a chapter that's all about my roots of growing up in Mississippi, called Bringing It Home. Then I have those main events, which is those showstopper dishes, full course meals. Then we have things such as for appetizers called Nothing But Bites. So if it's game day parties, any kind of experience you can think of, I have a chapter in the book for it, because you know what it's like when we gather around the table. Me growing up in Mississippi, I grew up on a farm. My great-grandparents had 200 acres of land. So that's what cultivated and taught me the true art of growing and actually using vegetation. Bringing in shoulders from out of the smokehouse, what we've smoked, and seeing how the community come around when we make our weekly gumbo in our large cast iron spots. Those are the things that I share with the neighborhood, share with the community, share through this book, because that's how we show love. So you can bank on everything from our smoky seafood, mac and cheese, which is off the chain, that's layered with smoked Gouda, provolone. You got lobster, crab, all of this in that andouille sausage to bring that in. Then also we going into holidays. Instead of just doing your traditional turkey to deep frying them, I show people in the book how you can create your own marinating injections, inject whole chickens, and deep fry whole chickens this year. Make the festive experience a little different around the dinner table. Have fun with it. But then if you just want to fire up the grill and get jiggy with it, man, I got it. Look, I got a cranberry glazed rib, St. Louis style rib recipe that I'm telling you, have everybody in the neighborhood fighting to get to your door.
I knew I liked this guy, and I think one of the reasons why is we're both from Mississippi. I was born there, kind of grew up in the Midwest, but Mississippi is my birthplace, and I am proud to say that. And I tell you, when it comes to music and to the written word, and certainly to food, you can't do better than Mississippi. Our remaining moments with Chef Gennard Wells when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where truth prevails.
The tricky station is down the dial.
Leaving things half done? Not a good option. Like a half-baked peach cobbler.
A gummy crust? I don't think so.
A half-done hairdo.
All done.
Shouldn't the curls be on both sides? Or a half of a domino?
Damn! Big six!
But where's the other half? Don't go halfway, especially with your immunity to COVID-19. Keep everyone safer this season by staying up to date with your vaccines and boosters. Visit myturn.ca.gov to find one near you. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Conversations that matter. You're listening to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
Got about 3 minutes left in conversation with Chef Gennard Wells. Let me just tell you a bit more about him. First of all, let me just say it was a huge mistake. I made a bad decision engaging this conversation with Chef Wells on an empty stomach. That's the worst decision I've made of this day so far. Not a good idea, Tavis, having this conversation on an empty stomach. Let me just say, though, the book is called Southern Inspired, More Than 100 Delicious Dishes from My American Table to Yours by Chef Gennard Wells. The cookbook, again, filled with great recipes. And there's a letter I should mention. There's a letter with a backstory behind each of these 100 recipes. He will be next week, once again, as he has been many times, on the Today Show for a special cooking segment. And tomorrow night, Thanksgiving night, he has a special on Clio. It's called New Soul Kitchen Holiday Special. That's tomorrow night, 8 Central, 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. New Soul Kitchen Holiday Special tomorrow night, Thanksgiving night on Clio. And he is, of course, a James Beard House honored chef. And he's called the family chef because he loves using food to promote positive family images and because he and his wife of 20 years have 9 children. So talk about saving money. I know why he cooks now. The Negro can't afford to take his family out. He can't afford to take his family out. That's why he's cooking every day, Chef Wells.
Hey, look, that's the best way. And what I've done is with our children is taught all of them. But I one of the cool things what my father was doing for me that I learned later on was that was a great way. By bringing me in the kitchen was a way for him to bond and talk with me. And I use that method with my kids now. Man, we have so much fun together. And to use something that's my career. What I love is a vehicle to communicate with them. Because not only do we eat to live, but we live to eat.
There you go. There you go. Well, holidays ought to be about family and fun, and he ought to know. Again, with a family of 9 children and a beautiful wife. Again, his name is Chef Jannard Wells. The book is called Southern Inspired, More Than 100 Delicious Dishes from My American Table to Yours. Catch him on the Today Show next week, and catch him tomorrow night in his holiday special, New Soul Kitchen holiday special tomorrow night at 8 Central, 9 p.m. Eastern and Pacific on Clio TV. Chef Wells, good talking to you, my friend. Have a great Thanksgiving, and congratulations on the book. I know it's going to be a bestseller, and I thank you for the time to come talk to us today.
Absolutely, and happy holidays, my brother.
Happy holidays to you, brother. You stay strong. That's our show for today. Tomorrow and Friday, the best of Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580. Time now to make room for the KBLA Midday Money Chain. Up next, the Millionaires Roundtable with Lynn Richardson, to be followed by Ahead of the Crypto Curve with Naja Roberts. Old money, new money, it don't matter. We've got you covered here on KBLA Talk 1580. Can you hear the excitement in my voice? Lord Jesus, I get 2 days off. Enjoy the best of Tavis Smiley tomorrow and Friday, back here, Lord willing, Monday morning live to do it all over again. Happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. Thanks for checking our program out all this week and today. I appreciate you. And until Monday morning live, thanks for listening. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The unidentified suspect in the shooting at a Walmart in Virginia was an employee. The suspect died from what believed to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound after killing 6 people. 4 people are in the hospital after what happened last